Well, it's that time of year again. Happy Christmas from the man cave. Moreland Biker's man cave, of course. Hence the stupid hat. Never mind. Hopefully this is a quick one. This was an idea that came to me via Saddlebag 73. He did a little video about Cornish pasties, because he's from the southwest, of course. And of course I'm up in the Peak District. Just down the road from me is Bakewell Puddings. Before you say tarts, Bakewell Puddings. So I thought I'd do a little bit of something about Bakewell Puddings. So that's what I've done. I've been out and tried to explain the history of the Bakewell pudding and the difference between the pudding and the tart, and how the tart came about as a result of the pudding and all the rest of it, and plus a nice ride out through Youlgrave or Youlgrave, depending on how you choose to spell it, where you come from, and into Bakewell, and then back through Monyash and the little place I used to work at on the Haddon Trail, the Parsley Hay. So there we go. It's just a little one for Christmas. And yeah, so see what you think. But more than anything, have a good Christmas and have a brilliant New Year. And I'll see you soon. Do the business, you know, the like, the subscribe, the rest of it, if you could. But please enjoy, and enjoy your Christmas. And I'll see you soon. Cheers. 'Twas the Tuesday before Christmas, and the ice had all gone. Moreland Biker peeked through the window and exclaimed, "Yes, it's on!" Good morning, people. Welcome to my channel. The sun's shining. It's not exactly warm, but and it's time for a little run out to enable me to wish you all a happy Christmas. Happy Christmas, mind. Not happy holidays, happy Christmas. Okay, let's got that out of the way. Now this little run out was inspired, shall we say, by Saddlebag 73. I'll tell you why in a little while. It's going to take us through another one of our pretty local villages. This is the village of Youlgrave. Well, is it? Is it Youlgrave or is it Youlgrave? It's one of very, very few places I can think of where the place is spelt differently. It's got two different spellings. As I say, it is a pretty little village, and it's one of many villages sort of during spring, early summer, where they celebrate something called the well dressings. And a lot of the villages around here, being on limestone in particular, they have local wells. Some of them got quite a few. Even our little village has got 3 wells. And since medieval times, these villages have celebrated something called the well dressing, and it's a pagan festival basically. And it's to celebrate a good water supply. Was the one thing that everybody needs, whether it be to support life or to grow crops, is a reliable water supply. Initially out the sky, but then in the rivers and into the wells. And this place is no different to the rest of them. What I hope to do next year, once the well dressing season kicks off, create a video having a closer look at the well dressings themselves, because what they do, each village, sometimes it's individual committees that take on the dressing of the wells, and basically what it is flower petals, a panel of flower petals artistically arranged to celebrate, as I say, a reliable water supply. Lovely valley this is, coming down out of Youlgrave down to Allport. This is the River Bradford down below us on the left. I hope this decent weather, this little break of decent weather, finds everybody well, and that nobody suffered unduly with the cold snap. Roads are still a little bit greasy, so treating them with respect, as one should always, of course. Out in the distance on the skyline over to the right there, that's the start of the Gritstone Moors, really, the eastern edges. We're going to turn left here, one of the good old A6. It's such a pity, you know. I know I've shown you Chatsworth House, Duke of Devonshire's oh, you can just see it through the trees. This is Haddon Hall. Through the trees. It's a great visit, is Haddon Hall. But it's unusual to be able to see anything of it. It's only because the leaves are off the trees. You can see anything at all, but it's all to the right of us. It's Haddon Hall. Much older than Chatsworth is Haddon. So in a couple of miles time we'll be coming into Bakewell. Now think to yourself, what does Bakewell remind me of? What does it make me think of, Bakewell? Well, sadly, a lot of people, the first thing to think of is Bakewell Tarts. Well, yes, okay, there are Bakewell Tarts, but the delicacy that started the ball rolling was the Bakewell Pudding. Which actually dates back to about 1860. And at that time, the pub in the centre of town was run by a Mr. Greaves. It's now the Rutland Arms. And one of the kitchen maids, well, one of the kitchen staff at least, had been charged with baking just a basic jam tart, really, and she got it wrong. And she put the jam in, and then put the egg mixture, by mistake or for whatever reason, on the top of it. And the result, well, it didn't look very appetizing. It looked like a cake that had collapsed. But in all good true tradition of economics, let's not throw it away. I suppose you could say waste not, want not. We'll see if it's edible. My goodness, was it edible? It's been a local delicacy ever since, as the Bakewell pudding. And basically the Bakewell, well, it's a sort of a jam tart, but on a puff pastry base. With a partial almond filling to it. Not everybody's cup of tea, but well, it's a cake, isn't it? Not a cup of tea, but you know what I mean. Rutland Arms on the left here. This is where it all started. Rutland Arms. And this is the centre of Bakewell. Now the shop over on the right, the original Bakewell pudding shop, claimed to have the original mistaken recipe. But there is another place just round the back that also claims to have the original recipe. Either way, they're basically the same. Yeah, so what basically happened was that the Bakewell pudding became well known, but it became easier to make the Bakewell Tart. It's a sort of a basic sort of a copy, I suppose, really. It's just that the Bakewell Tart is based on a short crust pastry. So the tart is on short crust, and the pudding is on puff pastry. Not a puff pastry man myself, but in the case of the Bakewell pudding, I do make an exception. So I'm going to go and get a pudding. Speak to you later. Well, I got my pudding. Strange little junction this is. It's a great little place, this Bakewell, but it just gets very, very busy. Understandably, because it is so pretty. Sadly, it's not the market hub that it used to be. As with so many markets, markets have lost their impetus over the last couple of decades, really. I suppose a lot of it's online shopping, and hang on while I just check my connection. Yeah, I think it's okay. But it's a very, very busy auction market, cattle market as well, this Bakewell. So we're coming out of Bakewell a slightly different way. We came in via Youlgrave or Youlgrave, depending on the spelling. And we're going to go back out via Monyash, I think. Monyash. I'm fairly sure I've taken you back through Monyash. on previous occasions, but again, it's a really pretty little village, is Monyash. And I will find somewhere to sample my Bakewell pudding. I've never considered myself to be a fair weather rider, to be honest. I've never been the sort of person to wrap the bike up and lock it away for the winter, because you get some really beautiful days during the winter, today being one of them, of course. But for the last couple of years I'm not that desperate to get out when the weather's so bad. I know one or two of my local group, my usual group, have made a point of getting out when the snow was on the ground to go and ride some of the green lanes, but to be honest, I'm not that desperate. So shall we see if there's a little bit of space? Yeah. Big puddle, we'll avoid that. Well, this is Monyash in front of us, the village of Monyash, and down to the left of us, it is the start of Lathgill Dale, but it's a dry dale for at least a mile before the river Lathgill starts to run. It's a similar situation with a lot of quite a few Peak District rivers. Because the ground is limestone and it's full of holes and cracks and fissures below the surface, quite often the river actually runs underground because it's found its way down through the fissures and no longer runs on the surface. Some of them, they do actually run in the old riverbeds when the water level's up, but a lot of them during the summer the rivers don't exist. So that's the village of Monyash. Now, do you know, I think I'm going to show you a little bit of my history. I've mentioned it a couple of times, this place, but That's the former telephone exchange there on the left. This is Parsley Hay. This is where I spent 4 summers, well, 4 holiday seasons I should say, as a part-time cycle hire warden, and before I eventually went driving tour coaches in Scotland. It's the first time I've been here for a long time in actual fact. All closed up. This was, well, it's the basic building that was here first. This was actually a station. The track you can see in front of us and passing on the left, this is a Tissington Trail. And it's the line that runs from Buxton to our right down to Ashbourne to our left. And that's the Tissington Trail. Again, one that was taken up at the behest of Dr. Beechin around about 1966. But a little way to the left, the track actually splits, and the High Peak Trail, which was the Cromford and High Peak Railway, branches off to the left and goes down to Cromford, a little bit further than the Ashbourne line. But the reason I come here is because I needed somewhere to sit and show you exactly what I've been rambling on about with this Bakewell pudding business. I'm not going to eat them here. My big idea was to sit here in the sun and sample, because what I've actually done, I broke my own rules. What we have here is a very small version of the famous Bakewell pudding. So that's the Bakewell pudding. Like I say, it looks like a cake that's collapsed, but it is absolutely beautiful. There's a degree of a small amount of jam in there with the almond filling and like an egg paste, if you like. It's absolutely beautiful, but that is on a puff pastry. So that's the Bakewell pudding. Now, as I said, what came after the Bakewell pudding was the Bakewell Tart. And what I have is, well, it's not a Bakewell Tart, so it's a Bakewell slice. And that's it. That's on a short crust pastry. And again, it is almond, but it's not got that same, well, for one thing, it hasn't got the collapsed look about it. It's very nice, but it's not a patch on the Bakewell pudding. And the Bakewell pudding is really what it's all about. It's just for me anyway. Of course, there is also the other, almost use a nasty word then, corruption, I suppose, of the idea, perpetuated, if you like, by Mr. Kipling, the Cherry Bakewell. Yeah, they're very nice, but there's naught to do with Bakewell in the Cherry Bakewell. There really isn't. Right. I've done what I wanted to do. As much as I possibly could, anyway. So I suppose the idea of was a nice idea of actually sampling the pudding and the tart, but it's not very warm, to be honest, so I've done the next best thing and just shown you them. But like I said, on the way into Bakewell, on the way across this morning, I did say that I was inspired to do this video by the Right Honourable Saddlebags 73. I find his videos to be really entertaining, and he did one a couple of weeks ago, and he's of course he's down in the southwest, so he put a little video together about the Cornish pasty, and I was sat watching that video and I thought, haha, I don't want to steal his thunder, but he's given me an idea. So I thought, yes, we'll have a look at the Bakewell pudding and try and explain what it's all about and its origins. So thank you, Saddlebags. Thank you for the idea. Now this is going to take us back through Hartington and then back home. I think it was worth coming out. If nothing else, we had another look at this lovely limestone scenery that I'm surrounded by where I live. So that's Hartington. I know you've come through Hartington with me before several times. So another couple of minutes you'll see us back at home sweet home. Campsites are all deserted now. So that's it. Got the last stretch in front of us, so this has been the Moorland Biker with my Christmas message to you all. So have a happy Christmas and have a great new year. I'll be back very soon after Christmas, I'm fairly sure. But I hope you found this interesting, maybe even enjoyable. So if you give me a thumbs up and maybe even subscribe if you're not already done so. I know it gets a bit boring me asking that after a while, but Thanks for watching anyway. And thanks for all your comments and your likes over the past year.